Yo, it's the Third Party Podcast, Season 2, Episode 4 with Ajoa Abrokwa. Bismillah.
Hi, my name is Ajoa Abrokwa, and I'm excited to be on the Third Party Podcast tonight.
It's a Third Party Podcast with Muslim Casey, aka the Muslim Boxer. What it is, what it do, what it don't, what it is, what it ain't.
Yo, Rod DeVoe, co-host Third Party Podcast. Hey, today we got Ajoa Abrokwa. If you in Philly and you see what's going on with women in positive spaces, then you definitely have seen her. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You're a mom of three.
Yes.
You're a daughter.
Yes.
Attended Hampton University.
I did. Yeah.
Graduated with a bachelor's in political science from Temple.
Yes.
Master's from St. Joseph's.
Yes.
Member of AKA.
Yes. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Just a regular Philly mover and shaker, traveler, multi-sport mom. Right now in the realm of cycling, you are an Outride ambassador.
I am.
Rafa ambassador, global couture.
Like high level cycling apparel.
You also do hikes and you curate women wellness events, right?
Yes. Yep.
So out of that stuff, like they all are accomplishments, but what's like some of the big ones that kind of stand out to you?
Being a mother of three, all that you read.
Okay.
Being a mother of three.
Outside of that, then,
right?
What would you say is something that like stands out?
Yeah. Community impact.
Community impact.
Yeah, and how I show up in my community, because all of the things that I've done is reflective of where I come from. So
right.
I think that me being able to give back and create space and be a role model to those that come from the space where I was cultivated, that's like amazing.
So you are self-described as a multi-sport mom, right?
Yeah.
So we know you cycle.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other sports?
Run. I run.
You run?
I run. And running was like my first love. Like I would get out and go run, and that would make me feel great. But when I discovered the bike, I feel like I can fly. And
You
then
were Peloton?
like, no, I didn't have a Peloton. I did go to spin class, and I should have known then. So I went to spin class for a period of time, and I got addicted to it. So I would like go to class every day.
All right.
And I loved it. And that should have been the indicator right there, like,
It's me.
more of this.
Right.
But time lapsed, and it wasn't more of that for a period of time. But when I got back on the bike in 2020 with another Muslim sister, and Juneteenth actually. And I've been in love with the bike ever since. We would ride on the trail. We would meet like 6 a.m. And like, so I would have to leave my house at least 5:30 and meet her at 6 a.m. We would ride, and sometimes we would talk, sometimes we wouldn't, but just to be out there, and then being out there with someone, she would call me, "Are you up?" Getting up, going out. That helps. But that's it. The multi-sport. I'm a runner. I ride bikes.
Did you get into all the bikes, all the tracks, and the? Did you start going ham on buying the bike?
I had a family member who engaged prior to me, and that also gave me some exposure.
Right.
He did triathlons, and I remember, I think in 1 year he may have bought 3 bikes, and I was like, what is happening here? I didn't know. But once I started cycling, I better understood, and it's wild. It can become addictive. In my head, a bike was from Walmart, Kmart, wherever.
Right.
And that was the bike. And I remember when I bought my bike, and I had a little bit of background knowledge to know they were strangely expensive, but I didn't know how expensive really.
Stupid expensive.
And I remember I took a picture of the bike that I was going to buy. I sent it to a friend. I was like, "Now, is this supposed to cost this much?" And they're like, "Yeah, this is a good one, but get it." I got it, and that was considered like a starter bike. But after I got to see some of the other bikes that the people had, I'm like, oh, I'm pulling up.
Right.
You know.
Hoopty.
Yes. And the first bike I had was aluminum. Now I have carbon bikes.
What's your greatest cycling achievement?
My greatest cycling achievement, doing a gravel race in Finland.
In Finland.
Finland.
Wow.
Yep, with a group, Ride for Racial Justice. This is one of my cycling clubs that I became a part of as an adult. People out of Colorado founded the group, and they're a part of my cycling family. And we did a race in Finland.
Wow.
Yeah, so I traveled to another country with my bike and rode it in the Finland forest.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. And that's one of my greatest accomplishments, because never in a million years, like it embodied like everything that I love. I was in the forest, loved it. I was international. I love to travel. I'm riding my bike. I'm with my friends. Like, what more could a girl ask for? And had my kids been with me, I probably would have stayed a little longer, but I had to get back to being with them.
When you look at the landscape of Black women and Black Muslim women in particular, like what do you see in terms of wellness?
Since it's become like a focus of mine, I've been able to connect, and I see more Black Muslim women that are interested in engaging in wellness activities and self-care, which I don't think I saw it as much before, but I somewhat think it's because that's not a place where I was. I've always been athletic. I've always like played many sports. The social and emotional piece, I think, is the biggest, the mental health piece. Like mental health, social and emotional is the biggest gain for me. Just being able to find an activity where I can mentally tap out of everything that's going on externally, but really tap in with myself. And it's something I enjoy. In addition to that, when we have the group events, just bring in like-minded women together to build one another up, to challenge themselves to possibly do something they've never done before, or do something that they enjoy, but also do it with others that enjoy it as well. And we've explored, like I've been able to take the women on different like trails and in natural green spaces in our communities that they've never been into before. And I think that's amazing. Like you don't have to like go outside of your community or outside your city to engage in a quality experience in the natural green space. And that's important to me.
How do you define wellness?
Being physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually aware and aligned. And even if you're not aligned, being aware that there needs to be an alignment and be working towards that. So I feel well when I am mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically tapped in. And during the pandemic, we were all locked down and kind of locked in, and because I move around a lot, like I do a lot, and I had to stop. That gave me time to really sit down and think about what's important to me and like reprioritize. I realized that some of my happiest moments were when I had some consistent physical activity going on, and I needed to reclaim that, and like I have to create the time for it. So just like I create time to take the kids to school, go to work, I owe it to myself to create time for me to intentionally do things that keep me well and help me be focused. My kids, and they'll tell you, my older two children will say, like, there were periods of times, in their lives, in my life, where it seemed like I was always like on edge or upset. And it was never like upset with them, but there was always just something that I wasn't as pleasant and happy. And I can think about it now, like there were periods of time in my life where it just seemed like there was a lot for me to do, and it was always a struggle. I would get it done, but it was always a struggle for me to do it. But it's because the alignment wasn't there. Now I'm working out. I try to eat as clean as I possibly can. And I feel peaceful, like I feel relaxed, and I could feel it. Like I'm aware of it. And other times when I was kind of just trying to figure it out, because I have work and I have school, but I got to pick them up, like just moving around and not really putting things in their proper place, just always feeling like a cat chasing their tail. Like, that's not a comfortable feeling. And then when you talk about wellness, quality of life, and I needed my quality of life to be different, but that means that I have to do things a little different.
Like, what do you think are some of the reasons why we don't always have the best practices when it comes to wellness?
I think that because there's no real picture of wellness, like you have to kind of define what that looks like, feels like, smells like, tastes like for yourself. And it's according to what you have access to, what your knowledge base is, what your exposure has been. I like to go on hikes. Some people I talk to like, go on a hike. Where you gonna go on a hike at? And I'm like, in the Wissahickon. They've never been in the Wissahickon. But when you take them out there, it's like, oh, this is cool. I would love to do this again. And it is beautiful. And it can shift your mood tremendously. I think that perhaps a lack of exposure and experiences, lack of motivation. All of us are we're not always motivated to do things. We kind of know we need to do them, but we're not as, sometimes it helps for like a friend to call you like, let's go do this, or let's go try this. And then you go and do it and try it and then you love it. The bike was like that for me. I grew up riding bikes around the neighborhood, but I never considered cycling as a sport.
Right.
And as I said, I'm athletic. So once I got exposed to cycling as a sport and engaged in the experience, I'm like, oh, I love this. And then it just grew from there. But the exposure, and that's a part of the reason why I want to create space for other women and young girls, get them exposed a little earlier. I'm not saying you have to go off and be like a world-class cycler. If that's what you would like to do, great. And then we will try to connect you to people who can help kind of foster that and build upon that. However, just to have them have the exposure to something different, enjoy it, have fun, laugh, create memories, meet people. I think that's huge. And I think that's something that we need more of in our community.
Were you born Muslim?
No. Well, some people use the term reverted. I converted. I grew up Christian. Okay. I went to church. My mom is Christian. And I believe that everyone has to like have their own connection with God, right? And I was always taught about God. The Christianity piece, just never really set well with me. And I didn't feel like I had like the connection I needed to have for myself.
So, how old were you when you feel like you first started questioning?
I always question, but I was in sixth grade, and I had a roommate that was Muslim, and it was Ramadan. And I grew up in Philly, so I always knew Muslims, and I have Muslims in my family. But my roommate was fasting, she was praying, and I was interested. So I'm like, teach me, what are you doing? Tell me a little bit about what this is. And she was younger than me. She was in fifth grade. But she taught me some things, and I had conversation with my mom, and my mom's familiar. She grew up in the time, she was around time of the first, as she always talks about. But, Islam is not foreign to her at all. We talk about things. So she's like, yeah, I asked her if I could fast with my roommate. She said, sure, you could fast. And I told her I was learning how to pray, and she didn't have it. There was nothing wrong with that. From that experience on, I had started studying and learning, and I wanted to become a Muslim, and my mom told me I could not do it. I needed to wait until I was 18 because that was an adult decision.
Right.
And, just kind of see if this is something that you really want to do. And I still, I had Muslim friends. They would take me to the masjid. We'd be praying. I did all the things. And then I was away at college. I had my freshman year at Hampton. I came back summer going into sophomore year, and I turned 18, and I took Shahada.
Oh, yeah?
And my mom was like, oh, I thought you still wanted to do that? And I'm like, I told you, and you said I could do it when I was 18. And I've been a practicing Muslim ever since. It changed me a lot. It changed for the better. I became more self-aware, more probably pleasant, being more open to engaging others opposed to just focusing on me, being more aware of how others experience me. That became more clear, and I continue to develop that because I want people to experience me in a pleasant way, and enjoy being in my company opposed to feeling like I'm possibly being combative or questioning or scrutinizing, different things. I mean, it depends on what's going on. I used to get irritated really easily by people. Why are they doing this? Or I don't want to be around them. They're getting on my nerves. But just being more open to allowing people to be their authentic self, and that, those types of things.
So you're 18. You take Shahada.
Take Shahada. Right? It changed. I was in fashion shows, and down Hampton. So we outside. So but Philly has all the Muslims, and I saw Muslims conducting themselves in certain ways here.
What were some of the challenges you faced kind of early on?
For me, personally?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what was appropriate attire. And because I was new, do I have to wear an overgarment? And I'll never forget, I remember saying to myself, I could never see myself walking around a college campus with an overgarment on. I remember saying that.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, this is before or after you Muslim?
I was already Muslim.
Okay.
But it's like, I felt like it just didn't fit because
Right.
it seemed like a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I'm just being honest. And it's so funny because I have a daughter. Like I have a daughter now who wore overgarments. I mean, I did too, on college campus with no problem.
No
and like
problem.
she really doesn't want to come out any other way.
Right.
It's interesting. But it comes from, learning and understanding, and then just feeling comfortable with yourself and the changes that you're making, and then gradually doing stuff also. Like I remember feeling like I had to go like literally from nothing to like everything. And that was a bit overwhelming for me as well. Like, okay, could I just wear khimar and tunics and, is that okay? But then I had some people like, no, that's not okay. You gotta, and just advising me on how I should present myself, but it probably at the time wasn't most comfortable for me.
So you kind of leaned on people to help navigate through that?
Yeah, a bit, because I didn't really know. And I'm like, okay, what should I do that would be appropriate? But
from an Islamic perspective, when it comes to girls participating, like what have you seen?
I didn't see Muslim women riding bikes prior to me getting on a bike.
Right.
There was one woman that I had heard about from a family member. Khadijah Diggs is the person who really like sparked things for me. She is a triathlete, and she is like all American, amazing triathlete who competes with a hijab. She's out of Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. And when I actually saw a picture of her, I was just like, I can do this. This can be done.
Right.
And I reached out to her. She responded. We had a conversation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was up from there. She has a whole like program. And I actually kind of trained with her and did a triathlon relay with her a couple years ago.
How was it?
So it was amazing. Like I love to do I do the cycling. I can do the running as well. I'm not a swimmer, but she swims and she's amazing. She's an amazing swimmer. She's an amazing athlete. When I saw her, I knew that I could do it.
I think one of the great things is that like you're doing it and it's representation, because that representation matters. So how do you navigate that social economic piece and try to bring people in?
I know that people from the community where I'm from could benefit from the activities in the space that I'm creating. And I know that because when I look at health maps, I see that there also is a community that has poor health status. They suffer from chronic illness, and we want to kind of change that. Me being from that community, we had the Philly bike race, or I think it was called the Philly bike race, down in Manayunk growing up. And people used to we would see the cyclists ride through our community with their kits on and their gear and their nice bikes. And it meant absolutely nothing to us.
Right.
Like that was a thing for them over there. And I never tried to go to a bike race, never even considered it.
Because it wasn't you.
Because we didn't believe it was something that was for us, right? The hiking in the Wissahickon, that's their space. That's where we see those people going. We don't really believe that space is open for us. So a part of what we're trying to do is diversify these outdoor spaces. And the only way we can do that is really like showing up in those spaces and then bringing other people along with us. The trails are for all of us. We can all benefit from them, right? But if I haven't really seen a lot of people who look like me out on those trails, then I'm not going to feel like it's a place for me. And then when I go out in the spaces, do I feel comfortable? Are people welcoming? Do I feel like I want to return? Do I feel safe? And we're trying to really work intentionally. And I mean, partnering with different trail organizations as well, to change that. Me being out there with others, like I have some other Muslim sisters that we engage, and I've seen in our area in Philadelphia, the increase in participation and engagement. You can't believe it if you don't see it, right? So I feel like the more they see us out there, and lends itself to them being open to engaging. Now, there are some barriers, right? Because you think about, I know everyone talks about attire and all of those things. And I'm only speaking for myself, but the physical activity piece is a lifestyle for me. And as I told you before, for me to be able to function totally at 100%, it's something I have to engage in. Like, I need to do it. And I found things that I enjoy doing that work for me. And as far as for cycling, for example, the kits that we wear when we cycle, they are like form fitting, and we make some adjustments.
Right.
We try to stay as modest as possible, but it also becomes a safety issue because you're on this bike and you don't want that to happen. I mean, you have a hard enough time just trying to maintain balance and focus. And there's so many other things, potholes and things like that. From a safety perspective, there's cycling gear that you should wear if you're going to engage in the activity. But that's why we create space for like women only, so that women can come, engage, and still feel comfortable. So, it's all about, what you feel like you can do for yourself. But I do believe that we are representation. I have so many women like, oh, I want to get on the bikes with you. When are you going back out? I want to do it. And these are some women that if you would have asked me 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if they would have been interested in even riding a bike, never. But I would not have done it either. If 6 years ago, if you would have said, let's go ride bikes, I would have been like, how are we going to do that?
Right.
Like, what would that look like? Because I wouldn't be like, but when you know better, then it's like, okay, we can ride the bikes and this is how we can do it. And why would you think that you can't do it, But look around at the people who you surround yourself with. And if they're on what you want to be on or what you're on, then great. If they're not, have a conversation. And if, things don't shift, then find some people who are on what you want to be on and connect with them. Like with the cycling specifically, I have met so many people that I would not have as an adult, that I probably would not have connected with if I did not engage in this activity. And like, these are people who I consider to be like my friends. I love it. And I think that, but it's that community piece. Find community. Like, when I have these events, it's not like for my friends to come. I love it if my friends support, if they're able to, but I open them up. I want anyone who wants to join in, come walk with us, talk with us, ride with us, engage, and hopefully you'll have a good experience. And either you go off and do it on your own or you come back and do it with us. But definitely try to connect with people.
Like, where are you at with, like the younger Muslims today, and in particular like young Muslims?
I'm like the village auntie. And I say that with love. A goal of mine is to support the community. And there are some things that I'm able to do really well, and I want them to benefit from that, as appropriate. I want the young Muslim women to come and have an experience and feel comfortable. And then I also share parts of my experience with them to let them know, like, I see parts of me in them. And it's not easy to navigate. Like, there's so much more going on out here now that was not present when I was trying to literally find my way. I can't imagine what it's like now, because you kind of like, I want to be a normal teenager, but what does that look like for me?
Right. Social media, the video, oh my goodness, the phone.
I can't imagine. It's a lot. It's a lot. And what's cool and what looks, it may not always be in alignment with Islam, right? So helping them see, like, you can be your Islamic self, but still look cool, travel, engage in, if you want to stretch or do, Pilates, and like, you can do all the things you want to do. And we're trying to create space to help you be able to do that, but still be able to maintain yourself.
Where the state of Islam in Philly is, do you feel like it's open for, what you want to cultivate in that space?
I do feel like it is open. It's the approach and creating the space in a way where there's still an alignment as much as it can be with who we are as Muslims. But then you'll have some people like, hands down, like, flat out, no. And that's okay. Because we're not like, you're not forcing anyone's hand to do anything. It's really trying to create space that is safe and appropriate for us. And also having these young women understand, like, being physically fit is also a part of, like, being well,
Right.
and cultivating your wellness is a part of RD.
I feel like sometimes like that wellness and physically fit, I feel like sometimes like our participation and how much we value it reflects our identity issues, where and some like cultural things that like we just don't see, we just don't pass down. You know, so you know, I'm in youth sports, and like others, like they invest just as much in their daughters as they, you know, like when I talk to parents, I'm like, they're doing something for their daughter, I'm like, act like it's football for your son. Because like they out there in the rain, like they committed, they not missing. But when it comes to the daughters, it's different.
It's like a pass and go thing.
It's like, it's very optional. It's very, if it's convenient.
We need our Muslim, non-Muslim girls to be in spaces and be okay with taking up space and being confident in that space, no matter who they're around, where they are, what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And that's something it did for me. Like, I can do this. I was a hurdler, and hurdles initially, I'm like, how could I ever get up and over this hurdle? But with the proper coaching and the support of my teammates and different examples of people showing me what to do, it helped me build the confidence to attempt to do it. And then once I did it and I hit a couple, I would fall, you know, different things happen. Then I'm like, all right, let me try again and see if I could do it. And then I continue, like, build that confidence to do it. But it goes back to community, to encourage it, to cultivate it, to create the opportunity for me to even, you know, engage in it. The athleticism part is one aspect of engaging in the sports, right? But all the other benefits are unmatched. Like, there's so many of them.
No, the studies show that girls that participate in physical activity, not even just sport, they have higher confidence, higher self-esteem, they get better grades, they have lower rates of teen pregnancy. Girls actually benefit more from physical activity than boys do.
With my teen girls program is Philly Focused and Fit. A part of what my focus is now and moving forward is to go into the schools more. Like, I have gone into schools and done programming, but just introduce cycling and the hiking as an option, not for sport, but just to engage in physical activity. Because what I found just in my limited engagement, my girls are just like, they're really not interested in doing anything. But then when they see somebody like me come in and I try to make it look as cool as possible, they become interested. And I love that. So I want to do more of that. All girls deserve to have the option of engagement. If they don't have that option, then we have unfair, inequitable practices and systems going on. And that's something that has to be addressed. But until we can increase, like, the equity in the spaces, I'll try to do what I can do to help close some of those gaps. And, you know,
as far as like being a husband, how can the men put confidence in their daughters and their wives in order to actually push them to say, let's go be fit, let's go be healthy, let's do something that will be kind of like functional for the whole family?
Something that you could do is perhaps, family, let's go out and go on a walk. Let's go out. They're having a 5K walk run. Let's do this as a family. Make it fun, make it inviting, and it's not a competitive thing where we're going to race each other. No, let's do this as a family, and let's see how we feel afterwards, and have a conversation about, we just did this. Did we like it? What didn't we like about it? Have that conversation. Also, husbands, brothers, whomever, give space. So, all right, I got this right now. Why don't you take this 30 minutes or this hour and go do whatever, like go run or go walk or go to the class at the YMCA or go, I know Haverford YMCA, I go to Haverford YMCA, they have an indoor track. I
Right.
literally just go there and I'll walk around the track a couple times. Help encourage by creating an opportunity for them to have the time to go and do something, I
Right.
think could be helpful as well.
Like, what are some recommendations? How you can have the time for everything that you do and still have the time to do that? Like, what are some recommendations you could do or give to some of the women?
So I'm a goal setter. And I
Okay.
really like sit down and think about, engage in some self-reflection and think about what do you want? Like, what do you really want for yourself? And I do a lot of that with my groups. You know, we just sit down and we set health and wellness goals. We set spiritual goals. Just set some goals. And it could be one goal. Like by, you know, within the next 6 months, I want to at least attend a Pilates class once a week. Or, you know, over the next 6 months, I want to at least go on one hike, you know, per month or something. Like set a goal for yourself and tell somebody about it. Tell somebody who is close to you that you believe will encourage you or serve as an accountability partner, and either invite them to do it with you or just have them, like, tell them, like, I need for you to remind me. I need for you to check in on me and see if I'm doing it. But the goal setting is huge. You know, community. I'm a communal person. So, and I believe in community. I believe in the strength of community.
Absolutely.
So I feel like even with like social media, if I'm continuously putting out there, you know, what I'm doing and just showing people, like I do it 6 o'clock in the morning, or I'm doing it, you know, it's summertime now, so I can go out 7 p.m. and get a quick walk in. I think that that's important as well, just showing people and modeling the behavior. But look around at the people who you surround yourself with, and if they're on what you want to be on or what you're on, then great. If they're not, have a conversation, and if you know things don't shift, then find some people who are on what you want to be on and connect with them.
If we're saying our daughters have to be under certain conditions, then we have to create that space for them to be under those conditions. Why don't you tell how can people support what you do?
Sure. So you can follow me on social media at sheisfocused_next to kind of keep up with what I'm doing. And also, if you go to my website, I have a website, sheisfocused.com. She-is-focused.com. You'll see kind of what we're doing. This summer, we have our 3rd cycle of our Philly Focused and Fit Summer Camp. So I'm about to launch registration and share it. Get girls to engage. We have a really cool partner this year. So we're going to be doing all the things on a higher level. And we have bikes. Outride, you know, I'm an Outride ambassador. Outride sponsored us with our own bikes. So now we have our own bikes that we're going to be able to ride on and get the girls involved. As far as the She is Focused or She is Focused and Fit activities, come join in, come on the walks, come on the rides, come on the runs, engage, follow me, support me by sharing it.
All right.
That's it.
We usually end this with like just some light questions, kind of. What's your favorite country that you visited?
My favorite country, I'm going to have to say Ghana.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to say Ghana because that's where my family's from.
Okay.
I went to Ghana for the first time when I graduated with my master's. And I remember I wanted to go to Egypt. And one of my family members that lives in Ghana was like, how dare you? You can't come to Africa for the first time and not come back home.
What did you want to be as a kid?
A doctor.
Of course. A doctor.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. What's the worst job you ever had?
I don't know.
You had no bad jobs?
Not that I can remember.
Wow.
You ever quit a job?
I've transitioned. Yes. I've transitioned.
She's so politically correct.
Right.
I'm transitioned.
I did home visits for a period of time.
Okay.
And that was challenging work because you were going in people's houses.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say it was like the worst job,
Right.
but it probably was the most challenging job and taxing, emotionally taxing, scared sometimes, just a whole lot going on. But necessary.
Okay.
When you understand where people come from, it helps you better.
So you did home visits as like a social worker or
case manager?
Case manager. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I like it. Water ice or Mr. Softy?
Water ice.
You know, I'm asking this question, and I still have not had Mrs. Softy.
No. Water
What?
ice.
Water. I know.
Are you a
because
Mrs. Softy guy?
No, but I know where she's from. So it's
She from North.
yeah, she's from North. Like
Water ice. Yeah.
She getting water ice. What's your favorite Philly slang word?
See, I didn't want to. I thought y'all were gonna bypass this part.
we're gonna. You know we're gonna ask. You from North?
I'm from. Yes. I don't know a whole lot of Philly specific slang words other than like one thing.
What's the one thing?
You know what it is, John.
Yeah. Say it.
John.
What?
Say it. It's spelled like John.
John.
Okay.
That's how I say it, John.
John. Just tell me one more. That's not
Bull.
Yeah, I don't use that. I don't use that. So I don't like it.
This sounded like it was a curse word.
No.
I don't use that.
I do not say that derogative word right there. No, now you don't say young bull if you describing some kid.
No.
Never.
Never.
No, I don't say
How
John.
do you describe a young black kid?
See, I don't want to do this.
She was like,
young fella, young gentleman. I don't say young boy, and I don't even know how to spell that. When I see people spell it, I'm like,
Young
is that
boy.
really how you spell it?
I ain't gonna lie. When I first got here, I was like, "What are you saying? What did you say, bull?" And then
Bull.
I've been here for 4 years though now.
Where are you from?
Baltimore.
Where are you from?
You
Yeah,
heard me.
exactly. No, say it again.
We got the English teacher.
Baltimore.
You don't
You know,
say you don't say
from-
North.
Yeah.
No,
You don't hear it the whole
No.
time. She was like, "I'm from North Philadelphia."
I don't say it, but
Oh yeah, I'm definitely saying Baltimore.
yeah.
Yeah, we rolling all the time. All the
Mhm, mhm,
Baltimore.
mhm, mhm.
Hey man, Rod DeVoe, guest Ajoa. We appreciate you coming. Just amazing stuff you're doing. Third Party Podcast, episode 4, season 2.
Deuces.